All right, real quick today with our regular world kids here. I've got a couple things I want to talk about to kind of wrap up our kind of key pieces of the Renaissance here before we move to the Reformation. A couple elements that we haven't talked about. One, there was music. So one of the things that does come out of the Renaissance is a different style of music than you've heard before. So when you talk about, obviously art, obviously literature, more important, architecture, right? Lots of different areas in which essentially society was changed. And so music is part type of it. Early Renaissance music was called madrigal. All right. It was more secular, not as religious in focus, and often sung with 3 to 6 voices. That was kind of the different sound to it, as opposed to a single singer. It was usually done with multiple parts and harmonies in order to kind of give a different sound. You also have the development of opera. So opera is fairly well known. By this point in time, you guys have all heard it, but it's going to be during the Renaissance that opera really begins to develop. That's one of the reasons why opera is often associated with Italian, basically style of music, because it's an Italian opera. Comes from Italy during the Renaissance. Now, other places, you'll have French style opera, German, Austrian, different styles of opera, but it really began in Italy during the Renaissance. And then all of this is aided by the spread of, there you go, the printing press. And we talked about the printing press before. Johann Gutenberg is going to develop it really in 1451. It is going to create the rapid sort of transfer of information. All right, now, if you think about now everything is instantaneous, but you're going to cut the time from months and years of information being spread to weeks and days. And that becomes a significant reason why the Renaissance itself was going to be able to spread. Okay. Let's see, as I go dark there. Education. You're also going to have a development of a new style of education during the Renaissance, formed around the Renaissance values. You had an emphasis, and like even today, our current educational system is based somewhat on these Renaissance sort of reforms to education, well-rounded. Different subjects were studied. Today, you think about your school day, and you have English, right? You have math and science and social studies. But then you also have other things, elective classes of interest, art requirements, physical education. These would be all things that sort of develop from this Renaissance concept of what education is supposed to be. You also have secularism, which is a non-church inspired education. So you're dealing with topics that are not solely for the I would say, sort of religious worldview. Okay, and you certainly see that in today's in education. You also have equality being taught, the value of diversity. It's not what we would call like equality today, not that all people are equal, but there'd be value in differences. Differences in thought, differences in background, that type of diversity. And you also had, for the first time, like the study of world history or history. History had been around for a while, but it was always sort of nationalistic. Meaning that Greeks would study Greek history, Romans Roman history, Italians Italian history. You start to study different cultures and different groups. So world history, like we're in right now. Also would have had significant development of architecture, largely influenced by Greeks and Romans. Lots of symmetry, lots of mathematical proportions, geometrically perfect designs. Very common for what you see now. There's many images to give a look. I should have included one here of like St. Peter's or something like that to kind of give you a concept. I did not. It's an oversight. And then changes because of Renaissance. There are going to be a number of changes as a result of the Renaissance. The movable type is an early form of machine-aided typing. The printing press and the printing of Johann Gutenberg's Bible. The Bible itself is going to be shared and begin to change the way in which people begin to think about Christianity, which is going to lead to a later split. And then you have the speaking in vernacular and the writing vernacular, so writing in native tongues and native languages as opposed to formal languages like Latin. Okay, so those kind of your things that kind of come out of this. It's also important to know that people begin to travel with greater safety. Another reason why the Renaissance is going to be able to spread. Roads became more secure. You had less roving bandits and things like that. You had the development of banking and money systems. So new systems of credit were established, which allowed for financing of things, and so more accumulation of wealth. Those are important developments as well. Okay. So we think about like all the things that come out of the Renaissance. These are some of the key things that developed. You're going to have, amazing artists like Michelangelo and Leonardo da Vinci. And you're going to have political thinkers like Machiavelli, and you're going to have new education systems, new architects. You're going to have new valued systems. You're going to have the emergence of kind of new thoughts on religion. A lot of different things are going to come out of the Renaissance that are going to greatly shape the way in which we kind of go forward. Shakespeare, for example, opera. Right? These are all things that are products of the Renaissance. Okay, that's it. I will see you guys tomorrow.